the News Channel 5 network. This is OpenLine.
It is Thursday, May 9th. Hi, everybody. Rory Johnston with you here on News Channel 5 Plus. Time for Open Line, and we have a great discussion and a great panel here. We hope that you will listen in, and we hope that you will call in as well, because this is important. It affects all of us out on the roadways. We're going to be talking about motorcycle safety and, in general, just roadway safety. You know, more and more people are out. The weather is better. And May, by the way, is Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month, so we're going to be talking about that and sharing some statistics with you and some tips to keep everyone as safe as possible. I want to welcome our panel. Dr. Michael Smith is a trauma surgeon over at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Arriale Tabson is the Public Information Officer for the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, and Lieutenant Bill Miller is the PIO also for the Tennessee Highway Patrol. So thank you all for spending an hour with us. We do appreciate it. I was looking over some of the statistics here. We'll just start off with these. Last year, there were more than 2,700 motorcycle crashes in the state of Tennessee. Now, these are just the ones that we know about.
Correct.
That are reported.
Correct.
And of those, sadly, 166 lives were lost, 166 fatalities. So as we talk about this, and we're going to get into the injuries and what you have to deal with on your end, but Lieutenant, we'll start with you and law enforcement. You see it out there. What can we do to be a little more aware and try to make the road safer for those on two wheels and four wheels?
Well, you know, it's a very good question, and what we pose to your standard motorist, someone who's never ridden or operated a motorcycle, you need to start thinking about motorcycle safety, because odds are you probably really haven't ever thought about motorcycle safety because it's not something that's been in your purview. And as a motorcyclist, you really need to think about operating that motorcycle as if your life really depends on it, because it really, truly does. There's very little room for error when it comes to motorcycles. So we want you to make sure to share the roadways with each other, be mindful that we're all out on the roadways, and just operate to the safest of your ability.
What's the state of Tennessee doing and the safety office doing to kind of spread the word?
Well, we currently have a campaign called Look Twice, where we are wanting to reach out to Tennesseans and the motoring public, and of course notify them that there are going to be a lot more motorcycles on the road. Make sure that you're checking your rear view mirror and your side mirrors. Look twice. Don't just change lanes and increase your speed without being aware of the other vehicles around you. So since the weather is warming up and we have more motorcyclists on the road, we just want to make sure that people are paying attention, because a lot of these crashes are happening because car drivers are being inattentive or just not paying attention. So this is that time of year when we just need to remind those motorists. Yeah,
and we talk a lot on our newscasts about distracted driving, which is obviously becoming a big issue. I recently got a holder for my cell phone, so I put it up, and if that way I'm hands-free all the time, and my car has Bluetooth and all of that, but I try not to use it at all. I don't even like reaching up and swiping, touching the phone while I'm driving. But so many times, just today, I saw a driver in downtown traffic kind of going slow, and I passed the driver, and then there was the phone. You see it all the time. So you combine that with someone in a car who doesn't see a motorcyclist in their blind spot, and right away we have an accident, right?
It happens every day, unfortunately, and it's really reaching epidemic levels.
If you are a motorcycle rider or thinking about it, we'd love to hear from you about your experiences out on the road. 737+ is the phone number, so give us a call right now. We have open lines. I talked to my kids who just recently, they're new drivers, they're teenagers, both of them, and this is a good reminder for me to tell them, because one of the I've known motorcycle drivers, but I also know truck drivers, commercial truck drivers, who've always told me, always tell your kids, I've always told my kids, those big trucks, give them space, they can't stop on a dime, always try to steer, just give them their space and be aware of those big trucks. And it's the same can be said about motorcycles too. You really have to kind of keep your head on a swivel and know where they are at all time. If you see them coming in your rearview mirror or whatever, and just stay in your lane. One wrong move, you're fine in a car, but the motorcyclist can be killed just like that, right?
Yes, and one thing with motorcyclists, of course, it's the law that you operate with your headlight turned on. Here recently, we've been noticing an increase in motorcyclists riding with their headlight turned off. Can't really explain what the reasoning for that is. If it's kind of like a rebellious action that they're taking, because motorcycles are just a symbol of freedom and just getting out and just having fun. And so we don't really understand why they're doing this, but we have seen an increase with headlights being turned off. So really be mindful. Look for that silhouette of a motorcyclist, even if they don't have their headlight on or if they do have their headlight turned on. We need to make sure that they are out there. So please do look twice, because the motorcycle does not take up much space in a lane, but that is still their lane, and you cannot come over and infringe upon that and endanger their safety.
Yeah. All right, 737 Plus, once again, as we talk about motorcycle awareness and safety, and we're not putting the blame on any specific group here. As we know, some of these accidents are caused by the motorcyclists themselves and others by inattentive drivers of cars. So there's a good mix here, and it's all incumbent upon all of us out on the roads to stay as safe as possible. Doctor, you know, I can't imagine some of the injuries that you see come in from motorcycle accidents, but obviously it's going to be pretty severe when someone takes a tumble at a high speed off of a motorcycle. Obviously you hope that they're wearing a helmet, but I know that right off the bat you're going to see what we call orthopedic injuries, right? Arms
Correct.
and legs.
It can be anything. I mean, from the top down, we see neurologic injuries, and we were talking before, thankfully Tennessee has helmet laws where our riders are required to wear helmets in the state of Tennessee, but just our northern neighbors in Kentucky are not. So we see some pretty devastating head injuries, we see spine injuries, we certainly see orthopedic injuries, as well as chest and abdominal injuries. I mean, you name a body part, I've seen it injured by a motorcycle.
Right, right. Especially not only the impact of falling off and the impact on the pavement, but perhaps even, you know, getting hit by a car. That can be devastating.
For sure. You know, there's just the impact of the crash, but also they can be dragged, they can be stuck under a car, they can launch off of their bike into something, whether that's the street, another car, the side of the road. So really anything can lead to trauma from a motorcycle crash. When we think about people coming in from car crashes or motorcycle crashes, it stands to reason, but motorcyclists are more likely to have more severe injuries. Yeah. They're more likely to need more operations. They're more likely to be stuck in the hospital or have, you know, either die of their injuries or have permanent disabilities where they're never the same again from before the time they got on the bike, which we just want people to think about.
Last week, I understand you kicked off Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month with a press event. I believe that we covered it, if I remember, but tell me a little bit about why you would kick off this month and what was your message? Because it was in conjunction, I know AAA was there and other groups, right?
Yes, we do partner with a lot of community advocates and of course our law enforcement partners. We kick off in May because of course it's the launch of summer. Weather is warming up and we've got, like we said, a lot of motorcyclists on the road. But also we have some enforcement campaigns that happen during the summertime, and we want to bring awareness to that motorists and motorcyclists are aware that law enforcement will be increasing enforcement and doing some focus initiatives. With the Highway Safety Office, we actually have a new pilot program that we're starting this year. Between May and September, there will be 4 waves of enforcement throughout the summer where local law enforcement agencies in 8 counties across Tennessee will be doing some centralized focus enforcement in regards to the safety of the motorcyclists. So we looked at crash data and identified those areas of the state where those motorcycle crashes are happening the most. And I know Tennessee Highway Patrol, they do some enforcement around the Dragon.
I was just going to ask you about focused enforcement, because you can use this data just the way, you know, Metro PD uses crime data, crime statistics to try to kind of predict where they need to be patrolling at what time. And there are specific scenic highways, you know, not only the Natchez Trace, but what did you just mention, the Dragon?
The Dragon.
Tell us a little bit about the Dragon. You know, weather is getting warmer and the bikers want to get out and enjoy it, as they have their right to.
Well, the Dragon is located in East Tennessee in the Knoxville district. It's a very scenic, very beautiful stretch of roadway, but it's very curvy. It's I'd venture to say kind of mountainous terrain. So with that, there's motorcycles or riders like to pick up speed and test their skills going up and also down the Dragon. With that being said, it's not a very forgiving roadway.
Right.
And if you're violating the speed limit and driving recklessly, you're greatly at a higher risk of being involved in a motorcycle crash, injured or even killed. So yes, we take this very seriously. It's as spring and summertime is on us, more motorcycle riders are going to be out and about. And one thing we also want to stress is that if you are operating a motorcycle, do not drink and operate that motorcycle, because we don't want you drinking, period, and operating any type of motor vehicle. But with a motorcycle, you have a higher chance of being involved in a crash and being injured or killed, because there is, like I said earlier, there's very room for error with a motorcycle. Yeah. And you need your full attention, your wits, and your balance skills to be able to operate the motorcycle safely.
Yeah. I don't think you should be riding a riding lawnmower if you've been
I agree.
Drinking. Just stay away from motor vehicles in general. Do you see an increase in injuries this time of year? More people coming in because of the weather? And
so sort of all of trauma, any mechanism tends to peak more in the summer than it does in the winter months. But motorcycles are actually our mechanism of injury where it's the most pronounced. So from about the beginning of April, that's when we hit our average, and from there into the month of July, that's where we hit our peak. So as the weather gets nicer, we see the biggest difference in motorcycle crashes. Also, time of day matters. So evening tends to be worse than the morning, and weekends tend to be worse than weekdays.
Sure. Good point. All right, we're going to take our first break, everybody, and we hope to hear from you. Maybe you are an automobile driver and you have a gripe or a comment about motorcyclists, or vice versa. Maybe you're a motorcyclist and would like to share some of your thoughts with car drivers out there. Please give us a call, 737+. We'll be back with Open Line right after this.